So welcome to your 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. morning flow practice, starting in supine butterfly today. So you'll bring the soles of your feet together, knees splay out to the side, and then you can play with whether you want to put pillows, blocks, closer towards the thighs, or if you want them closer out towards the knees, if you just want a little bit of that extra support that you can really sink into today. And then hands can land wherever is comfortable. So just take a moment to check in with how you've landed, maybe what you need from yourself in this moment of the practice. So if you need a little bit more just connection to self, you might place left hand over heart, right hand over belly. If you're needing more connection to the earth or feeling grounded, you might just take your hands, palms face down on top of the ground beneath you. If your heart is feeling a little bit closed off, perhaps you bring your arms out to a cactus or a T shape. And then just trust that whatever shape you've chosen here is exactly what you need. So you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to come up with reasons or logic of why you've chosen what you've chosen. Knowing that your inner knowledge is this truth. And that when we just allow all the other layers of expectation or judgment to fall away, we get closer into connection with this higher self. And so you can acknowledge how you've landed today, that perhaps it is a little bit messier, perhaps you aren't at an ideal energy level. Maybe you are. But just acknowledging whether this is a crash landing today or a little bit softer. When we can acknowledge the truth within a situation, it allows us to step more fully into our power to choose. Taking in all that information that we know in that moment, that we are allowed to just simply be and just simply navigate through that. And perhaps with a little bit more kindness and compassion to self. That we don't come to our mat to harm our bodies or our hearts, that this is a place of healing. And so in this place of truth of what you most need from your practice, of maybe what you're craving, of why you chose to show up here, not just today, but every day, you also allow yourself to land in a place of compassion and understanding for what it is that you need in this moment. Take a giant breath in through your nose. Feel your lungs fill all the way up and then belly rise. And then exhale out through your mouth. Feel the softness and ease given to you by that exhale breath. Inhale breath, feel how you can expand not only into the breath, but into the corners of the body. And then as you exhale, allowing your body to rest heavier. Just take a couple more breaths to close out this pose. Deepen connection to this life force within, this prana. And then perhaps maybe that is just enough today, to simply be here and be breathing. And it's not about what it looks like, that we can unattach from expectation or what we've gone through before in our mats, and we can just simply be right here, right now. If you want some extra guidance for the knees, you can gently release your hands to the outer edges of your legs or even of your knees, and you can help to pick your knees up through center. If you did have blocks or props, you might just slide them out to the side for a moment, and then heel toe your feet wide, about mat width distance. Take your arms out wide as well. So you're getting a nice opening across the front of your chest, and then just gently drop your knees over to the right and over to the left. Allow this movement to be nourishing for the body. That it's meant to just bring you out of any stillness or any feeling of being stuck. And it's a transition to move you to that next shape, that next pose. The next time that your knees come all the way up through center, pause, heel toe your feet in closer, and then take your knees into your chest, arms wrap around tops of your shins or backs of your hamstrings. And then just draw circles with your knees. So you're taking knees into chest, out to either side, and then further away, creating a gentle massage for the low back, for top of your pelvic girdle. And then the next time that you come back through center, just switch directions. You can take this as slow as you'd like. There's no rush. Just finding a little bit of movement into your hips. And then the next time that you come back through center, pause. Keep your right knee extended into your body, and then extend your left heel up towards the ceiling. Pull your left toes up towards your left shin, so you're engaging through the front line of the leg. Draw your belly button towards your spine, and then slowly begin to lower your left heel down. All the while, extend the heel away from the body. So it's almost like your leg is growing longer until it finally rests on the earth or just hovers above if that's more comfortable. And then help to guide your right knee to the side of your rib cage, Wend relieving pose. Soften into the front of your right hip crease. You can always flex into the right foot to support and avoid any injury of that right knee. Continue to draw the left heel in the opposite direction. And then bring your right knee back over top of your body and extend your right toes all the way up towards the ceiling. Hands can interlace behind your hamstring or on top of your calf. And if this feels like there's pressure in the low back, just slide your left heel up and place left foot onto your mat. You can explore some movement of your right ankle. You might point or flex your foot. You might take circles. And notice how this movement actually changes the sensation in the back of your right leg. Take about 1 or 2 more breaths of movement. And then come back to stillness. You can walk your hands up towards your calf or towards your ankle. And then as you inhale, lift your forehead up towards your knee or shin, tuck your chin in towards your chest, and exhale, gently release down. All right. Slowly begin to scissor the legs. Right heel is coming up towards the ceiling, left foot's gonna meet it. And then bend into your left knee in towards your chest. Flex into your feet, right toes pull up towards your shin, and then slowly begin to lower your right heel all the way down. And take your time so it's nice and mindful, and it feels like you're getting a deep lengthening stretch in your right hip. Left knee draws more to the side of the rib cage, but instead of this being a pulling action where you're trying to force or control the body into this shape, can you almost just allow it to fall open, and then your hands are there for steady guidance. You're using active energy to draw your right heel away from your body, so that deep lengthening into the front of the hip flexors and maybe top of your right quad. And then on your next inhale breath, take your left knee back over top of your rib cage and extend your left heel up towards the ceiling, hands interlace behind your legs. So it doesn't matter where they interlace. And then just start to circle your ankle, point, flex your foot. Articulate through some of the movements of the foot. You can even play with curling in your toes, pointing them, spreading them wide. Just start to find a little bit of lubrication for the ankle joint. Take about 1 or 2 more breaths with movement. And then you can pause and walk your hands up the length of your leg. As you inhale, begin to take your forehead up towards your knee or shin, core is engaged. And then as you exhale, gently release your head, neck, and shoulders back down. We're gonna actually, I said scissor last time, we only did about a half scissoring of the legs. So on your next inhale, begin to lift your right heel up, left heel's coming down. And then exhale, draw your right shin in towards your body and left leg extends out. Okay. Inhale, breath, feet meet towards center, and then exhale, they bypass each other and left leg comes in. And so you're just gonna move through this a couple of times. You're welcome to take a little extra squeeze at the end where your leg is coming in close and draw your knee into your chest. But just making sure that as you move through this, your core is engaged, belly button's drawing down towards your spine, and it's really just a movement that's allowing you to lengthen through the back of the hamstrings in this slow, controlled way. Okay? So let's take 2 more to each side. Maybe each time that you grab a hold of your leg, you allow it to come in a little bit closer, not through force, but just because you've been there so many times that the body's starting to get comfortable with this shape. All right, the next time that your right leg comes in, you're gonna pause, bend into your left knee if this feels like a lot in the left hip, and plant the foot. Otherwise, left leg can stay straight. Bend into your right knee, half happy baby. Take your right hand for the inside of your right foot. Okay, so it's like if you're in a happy baby and just let go of the left hand. We're gonna move through this, articulating that ball and socket, full range of motion of the joint. If you get confused, you can always just watch the video for a round and then come into this as well. Okay, so just listen carefully because it might be a little bit of a new movement. As you inhale, begin to extend your right leg out to the right side of the room. So you're gonna feel a stretch in your adductors, your inner thigh. As you exhale, bend into your right knee. Take your right heel in towards your belly button or pubic bone, and then switch hands, left hand to the outside edge of your right foot. Inhale, breath, cross your body in a twist, but extend the leg. So it's like you're kicking into your hand, right hip lifts off. And then exhale, you're coming back through center, bending the knee, heel in close. Inhale, breath, right hand to the inside of your foot. Extend out towards the right side of the room, inner thighs lengthening. Exhale to compression, right heel comes in, you're flexing into your hip. Inhale, extend across your body. Now you might feel this in the outer edge of your hip. And exhale, come all the way back through center. You're just gonna move through this maybe 3 or 4 more times. And feeling into all of those different connections and muscles of your hips. Maybe even feeling this into the left side as well, getting some length into the front of that hip. Hold enough pressure with the hand that you're actually kicking into it, that there's that slight resistance, almost like you're moving through water, or maybe even moving through something stickier like honey or molasses. Let's take 1 more breath to each side. And then the next time that you come back through center after that round, you can give your knee a nice big squeeze and then gently just releasing your right foot onto the ground. Extend out both legs and just take a mini Shavasana. Hands can come down beside you, and maybe you just notice if one leg feels a little bit longer than the other. You allow all those sensations, maybe some of that heat that you built, to just very, very gently dissipate ever so slightly. And take a couple of cooling breaths. And we'll slowly begin to meet for the other side. So left knee draws in towards your chest. Left hand to the inside of your left foot, and you're bending your left knee beside your rib cage, starting Happy Baby. If this automatically feels too much for the right hip, just bend and plant your foot so it takes some of that lengthening or extension out of the right hip. Okay, on your inhale, kick your left heel out towards the left side of your mat. Extend the leg. As you exhale, flex into your knee. Draw your heel in close to the body, coming through the center line. Switch hands, right hand to the pinky side edge. Inhale, breath, extend out. Left hip lifts up. Try to keep your left shoulder down. Exhale, come all the way back through center. Inhale, extend out wide to the left. Inner thighs feeling a whole lot more space. Exhale, come back through center. Bend into your knee. Switch hands. Inhale, breath to extend over to the right. And then exhale back through center. And about 3 or 4 more rounds on this side. You can always bring your gaze in the opposite directions. You can play with how much resistance you're feeling in this pose. Just making sure that as you move through this, there's no force to the body, that there's a fluidity, there's a slowness that allows you to just be really mindful in each second of this pose or movement. Let's take 1 more breath to each side, or you can finish out this last round. And then when you come back through center, you can pause. It might even be nice to just squeeze your knee in towards your chest. And then you can gently release your left foot down, extend your left leg out, mini Shavasana. Notice if there's a little bit more balance towards the body. If one leg is still feeling a little bit longer, just notice how you feel in this moment. And let's start to wake the entire body up. Reach your arms overhead. Take a giant stretch, reaching from fingertips all the way to toes. And then stay as you are, but just exhale and soften into your joints. So still long. Let's take 1 more breath just like that. Inhale, expand, lengthen. And exhale, let that go. All right, optional. You can take knees into chest and rock and roll up and down the length of your spine. You can roll to either side if you'd prefer a less active variation, but however you want to get there today, let's meet into tabletop. Once you've met in tabletop, spread your fingertips wide, stack your bones. Use your inhale breath to drop the belly down, rising the tailbone, gaze slightly lifts. And then as you exhale, curl and round through the spine, tuck your chin in towards your chest. Inhale, breath, drop the belly down, lift the gaze, lift the heart. And then exhale, feel that press into the earth to rise behind the shoulders. Let's just take 1 more cat-cow. Taking the full length of the inhale and the full breath of the exhale. And coming all the way back through to center, tuck your toes under and begin to float your knees off of your mat about 1 inch or 2. Notice if you're sinking into the shoulders, press deeper in towards your mat, like you're creating deeper imprint, and rise out of the shoulders. All right, keeping that lift of the shoulders, step your toes back 1 at a time, knee into a high plank. Take a full breath in, and then exhale, ripple through the spine, downward facing dog. The first time you come into down dog today, it might feel nice to pedal out the feet. You might need to shorten the stance to lengthen it. Just start to explore this resting pose within your body. Take 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. Beautiful. Okay. At the bottom of your next exhale, look forward to the top of your mat And then use your entire inhale breath and exhale breath to tippy-toe your way up. So it's gonna take quite a bit of time, and you'll land into a fold at the top of your mat. Inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale breath, sweep your arms all the way up, stand tall. Exhale, gather your hands through heart center. Tadasana mountain pose, release your palms to face forward. You can roll your shoulders out, feet hip width distance. You close into your eyes and just take a pause here. Notice how you've landed. If there's any attachments from your morning, from your week that are already starting to seep into your practice, can you just allow those to release, to clear out some space for you to move through this next half of your practice? Take a full clearing breath in, and exhale, just let all of that go. All right, inhale breath, reach your arms all the way up. Lengthen fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold, plant your hands, step your left toes back, drop your left knee down. As you inhale, instead of using momentum, use the pressure into the mat with your feet, and then rise your arms up. Squeeze your glutes, draw your hip bones up to your ribs, and then exhale, take your hands down. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Step back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in, a long breath out. Walk your big toes together to touch. Inhale, left heel lifts. Bend into your left knee, stack into your hips. Peel your side body open. As you exhale, step your left foot between your hands. This time, keep your knee lifted. Right hand stays rooted. Add in a twist. Inhale, left fingertips towards the ceiling. And then exhale, take your left hand down towards your mat. Springing off of your back toes, bend into your right knee. Step to a fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale, breath, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your right toes back, drop the knee. Inhale to monkey lunge. Hands guide up. Engage through the legs. Exhale, take your hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and a long exhale, breath out. Big toes together to touch. Inhale, right toes lift. Bend into your right knee, stack into your hips. Inhale, breath lift up a little bit higher. Exhale, right foot plants between your hands, low lunge. Left hand stays rooted. Inhale, reach right fingertips up. And then exhale, take your right hand down. Step to a fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale, breath, reach your arms all the way up. And exhale, gather your hands through heart center. Inhale, breath, reach up, circle the arms. Exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, breath, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left toes back, drop your left knee down. A little bit different this time. Inhale, breath, take the arms up. Exhale to half splits. Hands come down, hips sit back, right leg straightens and toes turn up. We're gonna move through that 3 more times. Bend back into your front knee. Inhale, use the strength of your legs to rise the arms. Exhale, take your hands down, hips shift back, right toes turn up. Inhale, breath, shift forward. You can open up through the heart, soften through the shoulders.
Exhale, maybe you curl and round this time, tuck chin to chest. One more time, nice and slow. The slower you move, the harder this is, but a little bit more mindful. All right, exhale to come in towards your splits. Inhale, breath, shift forward, monkey lunge. This time, just walk your hands up your mat. Tuck your back toes to lift your knee. Step back, high plank. Inhale, breath, shift forward, either from toes or from knees. Exhale to lower. Inhale, you can take up dog if your toes are tucked, or cobra if knees are down. And then exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in, and a long exhale, breath out. Walk your big toes together to touch. Inhale, left toes reach up. Bend into your left knee, stack into your hips. Exhale, left foot steps between your hands. Inhale to twist. Take your left fingertips all the way up. A little bit different this time. Exhale, take your left hand back behind you. Inhale, sweep your left fingertips down and forward. And exhale, take the hand back. Okay, 2 more circles. Use half of your circle for the inhale and the other half for the exhale. The next time that your left fingertips reach all the way up towards the ceiling, pause. As you exhale, release your left hand down. Slide your back foot about 1/3 of the way up your mat, pyramid. You can bend into your right knee, slide it up, and then straighten out both legs. Inhale, breath, lengthen. Reach the crown of your head forward, collarbones towards the top of your mat. Exhale, fold, belly, then heart, then head, draw in towards your front leg. Let's take 2 more breaths just like that. Inhale to lengthen, pivoting your back heel towards the ground. Exhale to fold. 1 more time, inhale, breath to lengthen, and this time exhale, step forward and fold. Inhale, breath, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale, breath, sweep your arms all the way up, stand tall. Exhale, gather your hands through heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Release, soft bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step your right toes back, drop your right knee down. Inhale, monkey lunge. Arms lift up, glutes engage. Exhale, half splits. Hands come down, hips shift back, left toes turn up, and think about folding. Okay, inhale, breath, monkey lunge. Shift forward, steady through the feet to rise. Exhale, shift back, turning left toes up, maybe even drawing left kneecap up. Let's take 2 more. Inhale, breath, rise to your monkey lunge, and then exhale, sit back to your half splits. 1 more time, inhale, breath, monkey lunge, and exhale to half splits. Okay. Inhale, breath, shift forward, walk your hands towards the top of your mat, tuck your back toes to lift your knee. Exhale, step your left toes back, high plank. Inhale, breath, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga, elbows squeeze the sides of the rib cage. Inhale to your up dog. Press into the tops of the feet. Exhale to downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. And a long exhale, breath out. Walk your big toes together to touch. Inhale, right heel lifts up. Bend into your right knee, stack into your hip. So you exhale, right foot plants between your hands. Inhale to twist. Right fingertips reach all the way up. Exhale, start to circle your right arm. Reach your fingertips back and down. Inhale, reach forward and up. Take 3 more circles, all the while squeezing inner thighs towards one another so hips stay square to the front. Don't be afraid to really lengthen and reach through your right hand. Okay, the next time that your right fingertips reach all the way up towards the ceiling, pause. Exhale, breath, drop the right hand down. Slide your left foot up, pyramid. Okay, 3 breaths with the articulation of the spine. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Draw your right hip back, left hip forward. Exhale, fold, belly, then heart, then head. Inhale, breath, lengthen. Notice how that changes the sensation in the legs. Exhale to fold. One more time. Inhale, breath to lengthen. Exhale to fold, stepping to the top of your mat. Inhale, breath, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale, breath, sweep your arms all the way up. And then exhale, gather your hands through heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, let that go. Halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left toes back, drop your left knee down. Inhale, breath, sweep your arms all the way up, monkey lunge. Exhale, half splits. Take your hands down, your hips back. Okay, a little bit different. Inhale, breath, lengthen through the spine in your half splits. Exhale to hold. This time add in a twist. Send your right hand to slide up towards your right hip. Maybe right fingertips reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Draw your inner thighs towards one another. Exhale, breath, release your right hand down. Bend back into your front knee, walk your hands forward. You're in your lunge. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Inhale, breath, three-legged dog. Sweep your right foot back behind you and up towards the ceiling. Bend into your right knee. Stack into your hips. Peel your side body open. As you exhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Okay, pick up your right toes and point them out to about 1 or 2 o'clock. Okay, lizard. Keep this an active variation. So your hips are gonna stay in line with your front knee rather than dropping the hips all the way down. So press into the earth to rise the hips. Optional, you can play with rolling to that pinky side edge of the front foot, but just making sure that your ankle isn't actually moving out to the side, that from the side of your ankle to your knee is one straight line. Okay, so not sickling through the ankle. Maybe even come up a little bit lighter onto the fingertips. All right. Gently begin to transition wide-legged forward fold over to the left side of your mat. Straightening out your legs, walk your hands towards the left side. You can always take your feet in closer if you need, and then just drape the body. Soft bend into the knees. You might be feeling this more into the inner thighs or the inner hamstring. Hands can always wrap around the back of your ankles or calves. You can plant the hands. Whatever variation you want to take here, you have about 2 or 3 more breaths to just explore this pose. First time we've been in this within our practice. And then slowly plant your hands so they come underneath your shoulders. Turn and pivot to the front of your mat again. So you're gonna meet into a pyramid shape. If your pyramid feels really long and your back heel is lifted, just slide that back foot up. This time, inhale, breath, lengthen. Reach the crown of your head forward. Draw your right hip back. Add in that same twist you found in half splits. Right hand slides up towards your right hip. Maybe right fingertips reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Gaze might follow as long as that doesn't hurt or crank into the neck. Gently on your exhale, release your right hand down. Walk your hands about a foot forward. Instead of stepping into a fold, lift up to a half or to a standing splits. Bend into your standing leg. Inhale, float your left heel up towards the ceiling. Exhale, step to a fold. Inhale, breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale, breath, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands gather through heart center. Inhale, breath, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Drape the body. Inhale, breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your right toes back. Lower the right knee. Inhale to your monkey lunge. Exhale, half splits. Take your hands down, straighten out that front leg. Okay, this is where it changes. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, hold that length and begin to twist. Left hand slides out towards your left hip. You can pause here. Maybe you take left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Roll your left hip towards the ground. So instead of your glute opening up out to the side, that you're beginning to draw left inner thigh to right to give you that juicy sensation to the outer edge of the hip. As you exhale, gently release your left hand towards the ground. Walk your hands forward, bending into your front knee. Three-legged dog, pick up your back knee. Inhale, left toes sweep up towards the ceiling. Bend into the left knee, stack into the hips. Exhale, step your left foot outside of your left hand. Active variation of lizard. Turn your left toes out to about 10 or 11 o'clock. Always optional. You can drop that back knee if you need. Otherwise, press into the earth so that you're engaging into the glutes. Should really feel this into the side of that front hip. So you might feel it into the back. Can you hold steady and still just feel into your breath? Okay, letting go of any judgments of this pose, letting go of any narratives, and just simply be here for 2 more breaths. Wide-legged forward fold over to your right. Begin to straighten out your legs. Walk along the long edge of your mat. You can always readjust your feet when you come there. And then allow your body to drape. Tucking your chin slightly so that your head hangs heavy. If you're craving movement, you can take your feet or your knees side to side. You might even just find tiny little shifts. 2 or 3 more breaths in whatever variation of this pose you want to play with. Any binds you want to open up to. And then walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Turn and pivot your toes towards the top of your mat. Make sure your feet are still hip-width distance. Always optional to shorten the stance. And then lengthen through the spine once your feet are rooted and grounded. Like you're peeling your belly away from your front thigh and that tabletop flat back. Right hand stays rooted. Begin to twist. Left hand towards your left hip, or you can reach your left fingertips up. Really important to square the hips here. That's what's going to give you the opening in the outer line of your hip. And then as you exhale, release from your twist, left hand down. On your inhale breath, bend into your knees and float your right heel up to the ceiling. Crown of your head comes down, standing splits. Exhale, step your right foot down to fold. All right, inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale breath, sweep your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands gather through heart center. Inhale, sweep up, circle the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Let's flesh this out with a vinyasa. Halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your toes back one at a time, high plank. Inhale, breath, shift forward. Exhale, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Open and broaden the collarbones. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. A long exhale breath out. All right, if this next transition is not working for you, you can always walk your hands to the back of your mat, fold, and meet in that next shape from there. All right, inhale breath, take your right toes up towards the ceiling. Okay, make sure that your hip isn't open, so right toes are gonna point down, right heel lifts up, hips are square. Now you can always take as much of a bend into your left knee as you need. Walk your hands to the back of your mat to land in standing splits. Okay, if that doesn't work, from down dog, you're just gonna walk your hands to the back of your mat and then float your right heel up. Reach the crown of your head towards the earth. Gaze is at your standing leg. Squeeze into your right glute. So you're engaging through the back line to lift the heel higher, that this isn't just about flexibility, there's a whole lot of strength. Take one more solid breath. And then walking your hands all the way forward, meet back into your downward facing dog. Bend into your right knee, stack into your hips. As you exhale, take your right knee to your right wrist, right ankle to the left side of your mat, and then lower your back knee down, half pigeon. Untuck your left toes. Walk your hands up beside your body, so you're in an upright variation. Okay, and stay in the upright variation for about 3 breaths at least. So you're gonna stay upright a little bit longer. Should feel this into your left hip flexor. Know that deer or thread the needle are always available if this pose isn't. And then when you're ready to fold, you can begin to walk your fingertips forward, folding belly, then heart, then head. Okay. Notice how this feels after being in standing splits. 2 very different poses, but very complementary of one another. So that compression that you felt originally in your left hip, perhaps fading here as you feel a little bit more of the length. The strength and opening of that right hip as you floated the leg up, perhaps now getting that ease, a gentle stretch. Can you allow yourself to melt away any of those stories of what that last pose held for you, and just simply allow yourself to be in this moment, to unattach from the narrative and just simply breathe. Slowly start to walk yourself back up, hands landing either just slightly in front of your shins or beside. Hold here for an extra breath or 2. So still feeling into that lengthening of the left hip. And then plant into your hands, tucking your back toes. Step your right foot back to meet your left downward facing dog. Pedal this out. Should feel nice to bend into one knee at a time. Just kind of shift through some of those old sticky sensations. Okay. Other side, optional again. Walk your hands to the back of your mat to fold. Otherwise, down dog transition to your standing splits. Float your left heel up and square your hips here so you don't have to worry about doing it later. Left toes point to the ground, left heel up. Start to walk your hands back towards your right toes. Continue to walk your hands back, even if you really have to bend into that standing leg, so that all of the weight is in your foot and it's not really in your hands. Hands are just there to help balance. Once you're steady on your right leg, squeeze into the left glute. Try to lift the left heel up a little bit higher, and as you do so, reach the crown of your head towards the ground. Optional if you did on the other side to play with wrapping your hands around your standing leg, one or both. Continue to feel the effort of this pose. As you lift the left heel up a little bit higher, one more breath, let go of the story, let go of any narrative. And then walk your hands forward nice and slowly, no rush to get to your 3-legged dog. Bend into your left knee, stack into your hip, should feel a nice opening for the front of the left hip. And then as you exhale, take your left knee behind your left wrist, left ankle to the right side of your mat, lower your right knee, untuck your toes. Okay. Half pigeon, walk your hands up towards your hips, stacking shoulders over top of the hip bones. Now you can pause here for as long as you need, but take at least 2 to 3 extra breaths than you normally would. And then when you're ready, you can play with folding down, starting to feel that shift of sensation from your right hip, perhaps more into your left. If it's comfortable, you can find a place to rest your forehead. So that might be onto stacked fists, hands, blocks. Know that you can always choose the depth of your variation. See if you can find the sounds of your breath and perhaps come back to your intention of landing on your mat this morning. Of just coming back to that truth of how you're showing up. If there's anything you need to let go of to be able to show up more fully for yourself. Let's take 3 more breaths wherever you are. See if you can find somewhere that you can soften into. Relaxing into the shoulders, muscles of the face. Meet back to your upright pigeon. Walk your hands in towards your body. Pause here for an extra breath or 2. Step back to downward facing dog. Tucking your back toes, lift the knee, ripple the hips up and back. Might feel nice to pedal out the feet. Looking forward to the top of your mat, instep or hop your way up. Take an inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees, inhale breath, sweep your arms all the way up. Exhale, take your hands through heart center. Inhale breath, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, let that go. Inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left toes back. Drop your left knee down. Okay, full splits, Hanumanasana. And you can untuck your back toes. You send your hips back, but pause once your hips come over top of that back knee. Right toes pull up towards the ceiling. Now you might just pause here. If you're looking for a little bit more depth, you start to slide the right heel forward. So that back knee doesn't actually ever move anywhere. The back knee will stay. It's the right heel that slides forward. And then there's always options to grab a pillow or block underneath that front knee as you start to slide it forward, so you don't have to use your hands the whole time. You can even take pillows underneath your left thigh to give you a little bit more support there. We're going to be here for a little bit longer as we have time to explore the pose. So know you can always slide your right heel in to shift out of some depth. See if you can soften into all those areas that you're gripping with. Those of you that are all the way down, check in with the squaring of your hips. Notice if you're rolling to your right hip and left hip is rolling open, can you drop your left hip down and pull your right hip back? If you're just working into half splits, last couple of breaths, you might even just press your right heel into the ground and then pull your right heel towards you. Your foot won't actually move, but you'll get more length down the back of the right leg. All right, how are we doing? If you are in the full variation, there's not really a super graceful way to come out of this. Use your hands to press into the earth, and as you do so, you'll lift your hips up and slide your right heel in to meet back in that half splits. Bend back into your front knee. Walk your hands forward, tuck your back toes to lift your back knee, and then step to a fold at the top of your mat. Okay. Take an inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Okay. Bend into your knees, inhale breath, sweep your arms all the way up, stand tall. Exhale, take your hands through heart center. Okay. Tadasana mountain pose, release your palms to face forward. You can roll your shoulders out. Okay, bring your gaze internally to your legs and maybe just notice where you're feeling sensation still. It's just starting to fade from that last shape. And then notice as you come into the other side, how you're gonna get the opposite sensation of what you're feeling right here, right now. So inhale, breath, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, breath to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your right toes back, drop your right knee down. Okay, start to shift your hips back so they line up with your left, or with your right knee. Left toes turn up. You can stay here, absolutely, and just focus on lengthening through the spine. Otherwise, you might even just slide your left heel a couple of inches forward. You might continue to slide it, and then this is where you might want that block so you don't have to hold yourself up with your hands. If you are coming to that full variation, make sure hips are square. Right hip drawing forward, left hip drawing back. Notice if you're dumping into the low back. Can you zip up the core, belly button towards your spine? And then simply breathe. Let go of the stories of whether you can or can't. And just practice this nonviolence to self. So wherever you are, it's serving you. It's healthy for your body. It might be a little uncomfortable, but you're not pushing past your edge. At the same time, you're allowing yourself to be in a little bit of discomfort, but trusting the breath and letting go of the varying thoughts that maybe have come up. So disattach from whatever perhaps you've made this experience out to be, and can you just take the last couple of breaths to just simply be within the experience without having to label it. Shift forward once again. Okay, if you're in a full variation, slide your left heel back so you can bend into your right knee. You'll meet into your lunge. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee and just step to a fold at the top of your mat. Okay. Inhale, breath to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees, stand tall, reach for the arms. And then exhale, take your hands through heart center. Release your palms to face forward. You can roll out your shoulders a couple of times. And then just pause here and notice how your body is now feeling. Perhaps a little bit more balanced. Perhaps some of those sensations that felt uneven or felt overwhelming for one side have now been, have met one another. That you feel a little bit more rooted from the left to the right. Inhale, breath, reach your fingertips all the way up. Stand tall. Exhale, forward fold, let that go. Inhale, breath to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step back all the way towards your plank. Lower onto your knees. Take your knees wide, big toes to touch, and then sit your hips back to your heels, child's pose. Allow your forehead to root down towards the ground. Allow this to be a soft offering for the spine, especially if in standing splits or in full splits, Hanumanasana, you were feeling some strain in the low back, some strain in the muscles of the spine to hold you upright. Now just allowing those muscles to almost melt into place. Allow your thighs and the support of the earth beneath you to hold you up. I almost imagine the back muscles dripping away from the spine, rolling towards the left and right sides of the body. So you just let yourself get heavier and heavier. And then walk your hands back up and towards your body. Lift your hips away from your heels. Coming through tabletop. Meet onto your seat. You can extend your legs out and in front. And then just slowly start to lower yourself all the way down. It might feel nice to take knees to chest or even to take the opposite, a giant stretch. So there's no right or wrong. Just finding what your body needs in this moment. And we're going to close off with a couple of twists. If there's a specific variation you're craving, you're of course welcome to take that, even if I don't cue it. And when you're ready, you'll plant your feet. Arms can come out wide to a cactus to a diamond shape. You'll press into your planted feet to shift your hips up and over to the left, and then you can heel toe your feet over as well. Taking your knees into your chest, Slowly lower your knees all the way over to the right. Now, if this feels like too much, just simply take blocks or pillows either between your knees, or you can take them underneath for that added support so that you come out of some of that depth. Just take about 5 or so breaths. You twist, an opportunity to just kind of sink in, to unwind any areas of stickiness or our tendency to hold on, to grip something, and to just allow yourself space to let go. And then on your next inhale breath, you bring your gaze back up through center, knees follow. If you need any movement side to side, you want to windshield wiper the knees, take knees into chest. Make sure you do reset your hips into the center of your mat. That this time in between sides is really for you to just feel like you're back at your center. You can let go of those previous sensations. And then when you're ready, finding the other side, feet will plant again. Hips pick up and over to the right. Shoulders staying rooted into the center, and then knees come into your chest and we'll slowly lower over to the left. Remembering that as we move through twists, we always start on the right side of the body to move in the direction of digestion. So compressing to the right so we can move any even internal stickiness or built up gas or blockages to release in the natural pattern of our body. And you allow yourself just space to simply land here without having to force or do. And then the next breath that you take in, you can bring your gaze up through center and knees to follow. Take any final movements that your body is craving. So if you're craving a happy baby shape, if you want to elevate the feet, if you just need some movement, this is your time to really nourish your body with what you need to close off your practice. Because ultimately, you know your body best. And that even when we're being guided externally, there's always that internal guide that sometimes doesn't necessarily agree with the external. And this is where we really need to find our own truth in these situations of what is true for me right here, right now, in this moment. And to trust that it's okay to step a little bit outside the bounds. When you are ready, you can make your way down to Shavasana. Supporting yourself with any pillows or props that you need to get really, really comfortable. And in this moment of closing off your practice, can you send some gratitude to self for just showing up? This practice isn't about whether or not you can get into standing splits or full splits. That this practice is about challenging us to show up perhaps when we'd rather not. About allowing us to let go of the limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves that aren't our truth. That this practice is an opportunity to face those shadow corners here on our mat and show up in our full sense of truth. It's an opportunity to unattach from all the things that have held us back. And so whether or not your splits looked as you wanted it to, or as you thought it might, perhaps you just allow yourself to find some contentment with what is and what was, and that this is just room for you to rest. I'll leave you here for a moment or so to
Just simply sit with yourself to allow any stickiness, attachments to fade. And that just becomes you and your breath.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse. When the tears come streaming down your face, when you lose something you can't replace, when you love someone but it goes to hate, could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones. I will try to fix you.
Take a full breath in. A long exhale, breath out. I'll leave you here in Shavasana to take as much time as you need to come out of your practice today. If you want to close off laying on your back, you can just take hands to heart center. If you prefer to close off in seated, you can just start to make your way there. Bringing your hands to Anjali Mudra wherever you've chosen to land. And so much love, so much gratitude for moving through this practice of yoga beyond the physical with me this morning. From the bottom of my heart. Namaste.